Weird sciencey facts that boggle my mind. Shrimp smash. Get it? Because like Hulk smash and shrimp are little. Never mind. I did a video a little while back about the superpowers of the pistol shrimp. Turns out there's a shrimp with even more superpowers than the plasma pew pew prawn, and that is the mantis shrimp. Now there's over 400 species of mantis shrimp, and obviously I can't cover them all, but they're broken down into two main types. Ones that are like cavemen and like to go clubbing, called smashers, and the others are spearers. But regardless of which one we're talking about, they both have a pimp hand so strong they can bitch slap with the power of a .22 caliber bullet. And when they do decide to smack you around, the cavitation from their clubs moving through the water causes a percussion so powerful it can stun their prey, and the resulting friction can create temperatures nearly as hot as the surface of the sun. Now, the spearing mantis shrimp has a bunch of spikes on its bitch slappers that stabs its prey. So it hunts for soft-bodied things like fish and worms, but the smashers prefer a hard body, which you know they usually do. And they use their clubs to dismember things like crabs, which is surprising, I know. Usually when you're out smashing, crabs are something you try to avoid. Sorry, I'll try to be more mature. When the mantis shrimp is hunting crabs, they use their surgical super punch, which is powerful enough to break glass, to knock off the crab's claws so it can't fight back. A lot of times this will just knock the crab out. After all, it did just get hit 4 times because the shrimp punches both clubs out at once, and both of those strikes create a concussive boom that rattles your brain. Like in the words of Tennessee Ernie Ford, one fist of iron and the other is steel. If the right one don't get you, then the left one will. And if those don't get you, then the sonic boom will. I'm paraphrasing. It's kind of like real life Dragon Ball Z, where they do that thing where they hit their opponent, but then they also shoot a ball of energy at them. Basically real life Goku. However, if the crab is unlucky enough to remain conscious through the claw cracking, the mantis shrimp will continue to amputate its appendages till it can no longer get away, and then bludgeon it open at its leisure. And the mantis shrimp achieves a stupendously superior striking ability in similar ways to the way that fleas jump and the pistol shrimp shoots plasma. They have a really powerful muscle that builds up a ton of pressure against a latching mechanism, and then when they want to strike, they release all of that pent-up pressure like a spring. But now you may be wondering, how the hell does their clab-punching appendages not break when they're clubbing crustaceans? Well, I'm glad you asked. They create their clubs out of this herringbone structure, and it's a mix of chitin, I don't know, the stuff that crab shells and insects' exoskeletons are made out of, and calcium phosphate, which is what our bones are made out of. Those materials and that structure make it hard but flexible so it can absorb all of that impact and not crack. Scientists are actually trying to replicate it to make helmets and stuff. But their superpowers don't stop there. They've also got the most complex eyes in the animal kingdom. They've got 2 compound eyes like flies and bees, so like one eye has like a bunch of little eyes kind of all in it together. But unlike those creatures, multiple parts of their eyes can focus on the same thing. So like how we use both of our eyes to judge depth perception, they can do that with one eye. And it doesn't stop there. Some species of mantis shrimp have the most complex color receptors on the planet, where all of the colors that we perceive our world to be, we experience with 4 classes of color receptors. Some mantis shrimp have 16 classes of color receptors. They can see ultraviolet light. And that's not even where the complexity stops. See, our eyes are basically just receptors. They're kind of like the lens on a digital camera. They just take in all of the information they're receiving, send that information to your brain, and your brain processes it. To do that in detail, requires a fairly complex brain that shrimp just don't have. So the mantis and shrimp's eyes are like their own mini brain. They process all of that information they're receiving in-house and just send the final product to the brain for the final decision making, which is just nuts to think about. We have a mind's eye, they have an eye's mind. But I guess that's some of the benefits of forging your own evolutionary path early. While most modern shrimp diversified from their common ancestor about 250 million years ago, mantis shrimp decided to go its own way about 400 million years ago. It pays to be part of the original shrimp cocktail. And the last cool fact I'll leave you with about these powerful punching prawn is that while most of them live solitary lives, a few species find their lobster. They move in together, the wife stays home and takes care of the kids, the husband goes out hunting, and sometimes a female will even lay a second clutch of eggs that the male takes care of as well. And these things can live for 30 to 40 years. Pretty bad that a shrimp has a more successful marriage than most people. And the fact that a pawn packs a more powerful punch than Manny Pacquiao and can perceive the percussion in ultraviolet, well, that is pretty mind-boggling.